are two satisfied clients who will tell you what it's like to work with me.
Quoting Jackie.
It's a comfortable site. Everybody is so friendly. They treat you like family.
Barb added this about Natalie.
She's a kind and caring person who gives accurate readings.
You have questions? Find your answers today at StarZpsychics.com. That's StarZ with a Z, Psychics.com. Hello, everybody. This is Natalie, also known as StarzCast. The stars. Come visit the stars. Anyways, my guest is running a little late, so you get to hear my voice, which you usually do in the beginning anyways. Well, I hope everybody is doing okay. I know things are not like we would want them to be, with this virus going around and all that kind of stuff. Well, I think my guest is here. I hope. So, but anyways, I'm going to keep talking because I have to bring her in anyways. But tonight she's known as the reporter for the universe. That's what she is. I'm going to bring her in right away, and I'll talk a little bit after so we don't miss anything with her. I hope this is her. I'm going to bring in Joanne DiMaggio. Hi, Joanne.
Hi, Natalie. How are you?
I'm great. And yourself? I was just talking about you.
Good things, I hope.
Oh, yes. Reporter for the universe. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
You have an extensive website, and I'm going to give it out to everybody right now. So, I'll do it throughout the show, but I think it's a good idea to do this right now. Okay. It is Joanne, JoanneDiMaggio.com. And when you go there, you're going to see a lot. Regression, her story, soul writing, which I want to ask you about, Joanne. There's just so many things to talk about because you have such a diverse background. You've done so much, and it's so impressive. It's very impressive. Makes me feel honored to have you on my show. But anyways, okay. So let's, first of all, you're an author, okay? You were raised in Chicago.
Right.
You live in Virginia right now?
I do.
Okay.
Right outside of Charlottesville.
The mountains of Virginia, huh?
Yeah, beautiful place.
Oh, I'm in South Carolina. Is it hot there?
Yes, very hot.
Same thing here. I don't think we're going to escape it now because we are in the South, and that's the way it is, right? You have written, I believe 3 books, like I said, lots of articles. I know you've written for Mystic Living Today, and you were involved with Edgar Casey's Association for Research and Enlightenment, ARE. Most people, I've always known about that. When I was, delving into the spirituality and the whole world, I was surrounded by lots of psychics and everything, and a lot of them would do talks on Edgar Casey, of course, and his organization. Now, you head up your own, don't you, in Charlottesville? Or you're the coordinator?
I'm part of the, we have what we called field teams so that we are able to bring programs to ARE members closer to where they live. So I happen to have one here in Charlottesville. We were hosting meetings at Unity Church, but we've been on hiatus like everybody else, so haven't done much since October. So it's been a bit of a dry spell for us. But I'm hoping.
If people don't understand what Unity Church is, it's different than like the Catholic Church. I went to a couple of events with a gal who brought me. I'd never experienced it before, but it was really unique. It's held so differently. If you're raised a Catholic, you hear the music and the singing and all of that. Well, this was more, it was very calming and soothing, as I recall. And there was one lady that grabbed my attention. She was all in white. I don't know if I had a vision or not, Joanne, but I had to look twice at her. She looked so angelic. It was a wonderful thing. It was a wonderful experience. But So is that difficult to run that? Now it's probably so involved. Of course, you said you haven't done anything since October, but still,
No, I was the guest speaker at ARE has what they call a member congress every year. in which, members of the area are able to go to Virginia Beach and meet up with old friends, and they have an entire week of different speakers coming in and activities. Well, of course, they couldn't do that this year, so they said they were going to do everything online, and they asked me if I would present to do an online program, and I'll be honest with you, I was freaking out because I told them, I said, listen, I'm like that character in, that Phil Hartman used to do on Saturday Night Live when he said he was the unfrozen caveman lawyer. And then he would come out dressed as, he was a caveman, but he'd be dressed as a lawyer, and he'd tell the jury, your world frightens and confuses me. My primitive mind can't grasp these concepts. That's how I feel about technology. So when they said you were going to do this online, I was like, no. But you know what? It was fine. I did it on Zoom. I was able to show my PowerPoint. It went flawlessly, and now I'm getting more and more confident and doing more online than ever before. All of my regressions that I do with my clients is done now through Zoom rather than in person. So it's
Do you do anything on Skype also?
Yeah, I do Skype too. Both Zoom and Skype.
Right.
Yeah.
But if everybody goes to her page, they'll see all that's available to them. And it's just like when I first did the radio show, I guess it was 9 years ago. I know Candy's going to correct me. I think it was 9 years ago. Maybe it wasn't 8, I guess. I didn't want to do it. I was like you, being on Zoom. No, I can't do this. No, I can't do this. But I had a co-host. I had a bunch of people on the first couple of weeks with me and got my feet wet. And I finally realized this is not so bad. This is pretty easy. And, of course, now I don't know how many interviews I've done or talks. I don't even like to call them interviews because we talk. It's more like conversations with Natalie. It's not, I don't have all these I have some questions to ask you, but I don't have a list. And it's not like being on a television program where they have to cover certain. We can cover the whole thing if we want, right? But
right.
It was probably like how you felt. It's a new world for you, so you don't know how you're going to come off. Am I going to sound good? I mean, you sound great. I mean, if your Zoom is like the telephone radio thing, you're great. It's great. But I'm glad you're doing that. I'm happy for you that you're doing that because then you can share everything with everybody and not be. We're stuck in the house as it is, And I was telling everybody, I know they're so disappointed. It's not like it should be going. And I was ill for 2 weeks, didn't have COVID, but I had something pretty bad. And, I thought I was going to die. I really did. But, it was a different kind of virus that I got. But, we just, if they just would listen and adhere to the rules, we'd be fine. But, okay, so let's start at the very beginning. How did Joanne get her feet wet into this whole esoteric world, this whole world of spirituality? I mean, we all have a story to tell about how we began.
Yeah, I actually started as a young child and didn't realize what I was pursuing. We talked about growing up Catholic. I grew up in an Italian-American Catholic family on the south side of Chicago, so pursuing things like reincarnation was not exactly the thing to do. But being Catholic, I went to 12 years of Catholic school. I started asking questions because some things just did not feel right to me. I didn't understand why we only got one chance. I didn't understand why if we made a mistake and we didn't confess it in time, that we would go straight to hell. None of that felt like what a loving God would want for his creation. So I had those doubts, and I was looking for answers. And somehow during the summer, while I was a teenager, I stumbled across some books. The first book I read on reincarnation was The Search for Bridie Murphy. And then I started reading books by Jess Stern, and I started reading about Edgar Casey. So that really whet my appetite for, because the whole concept of reincarnation answered all of my questions. Now I found a way of life that was very fair and just and made sense to me. but I didn't do much about it at that time. I had some hints growing up of a possible 18th century lifetime of my own, and so I wanted to pursue that time period. So when I got into college, I majored in American history and specialized in the 18th century. And I had a professor tell me, he says, you have the most uncanny feel for early American history of any student I've ever had. And I thought, I do, but I don't know where it's coming from.
Right.
So later on, I sort of forgot about it, got married, had a family. And then in 1987, along comes Shirley MacLaine turning her book out on a limb into a miniseries. And so for 2 nights in January of 1987, I watched that miniseries. And I'll tell you, it was like it awoke the sleeping metaphysician within me, and I think with literally thousands of other people, too. It was a big wake-up call. And so after that, I seriously wanted to delve into this. So I thought, well, where are the like-minded people? Where am I going to find, souls that I could talk to who would understand what I'm talking about? And so that's what led me to the ARE. And I was living in Chicago at the time, and they had a very big region in the Midwest, and they brought in speakers from all over the country, and many of them were past life therapists and authors, and they became friends of mine. And I started my own past life research organization called Plexus in Chicago, and then I moved to Virginia in 1995, and I have been got involved with Unity Church here, and found that there were like-minded people at Unity Church. They were just like the people at the ARE. So they were supportive of me. I mean, what church would allow you to conduct regressions on their property,
Exactly. You'd be burned at the stake on a I was raised Catholic also, and I'm also Italian. And I can tell you, and I'm going to tell you the story about my thing about it. All of a sudden I realized you can talk to God anywhere. You don't have to go inside a church. Right. And I saw all this gold, Joanne, and all passing the basket. I'm thinking, wait a minute, something is wrong. This you can talk to God at home, which I do every day and I'll always have. But you see what happened? You were so fortunate that you found the Unity Church.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't even know if I have here in my little city. I don't know.
Well, you may, and they really. They are so different because they just ooze positivity. When my grandchildren were born, I had them do a welcome ceremony, which, unlike a baptism, this focused on the soul of that child, what it was here to do, and how everyone there would be supportive of that soul's mission. So it all kinds of dovetails into the work that I'm doing, and so we host programs there, and it's my spiritual home, and it just is a really wonderful supplement to my involvement with the ARE. So I feel like I've got a home there, and
you do,
and it's very, very nurturing and just wonderful.
You do, and I'm originally from Michigan, and of course the Unity Church was very big there in the Detroit area, the suburbs, and but I've never looked for one here. I must do that. I must do a little. There must be one here, even if it's really small. I know a lot of times the guy that does sprays my lawn. I mean, those termite inspection, because you have to have that in the South. He's this black man, and he's so spiritual. We stand and talk about the church. It's unreal. And he laughs at me. He says, you're really something. You should come to my church sometime. I'm thinking, I would like it, because he speaks the language that I speak. He is he's so giving and so kind, and he's not like set in a place where, okay, well, you got to get me to come here, you got to get an appointment. He says, if you see me down the street, walk down and get me, and I'll come and take care of whatever's bothering you. That's how he is. He's very giving, and that's how they are. The Unity Church is very giving, always open arms. That's how I felt when I went there the first time. I went there twice, I think, and that was it.
And they consist of people of all faiths. So you've got, Catholics, and you've got people who are Jewish or Muslim or, Buddhists, Protestants, just every faith. And we just find that this church is what we need. I do miss the old Catholic days of the beautiful hymns in Latin and that ritual with the incense and the beautiful churches and stuff like that. I do miss that, but I don't. This is a very positive, loving place that they accept everybody. That no matter what you believe, and I think that's what's so wonderful about it is that we've people of all faiths and races and ethnic background and everything joined together as one community there.
And they don't judge. It's like their arms are open. Yeah. That's what I noticed about it. I mean, I felt so comfortable there. My friend brought me there. We were writing an astrology program, and she said, have you ever gone? And I said, no, but I want to. And I was just like, all I kept doing was looking around. It was like I was in a different world because in a sense I really was. Compared to the church, per se, that I went to and was raised in, basically, it was totally different. It was rigid. It was not like this. So if everybody listening out there would just go to a Unity church, you're going to
give it a try.
You're going to sit there and be in awe that, wow, it's a great thing. It's a great feeling. Yeah. Okay, so you started writing books. You've written 3+ books, hundreds of magazine articles, and I was just telling everybody, and I've had stuff in Mystic Living Today because I know your publicist very, very well.
Sarah,
Yes, Sarah, and I have her on my cell phone and all of that. But over time, Joanne, you become friends with these people. That you deal with. I have a man who works for John Hunt Publishing, and I mean, my goodness, he must send me 5 interviews a week to do. I mean, and I'm booked till November. But it's wonderful because he's listened to my shows, and that makes you feel good. Then you know you're doing something right. Okay, so let's get back to you. Okay, so what book did you see? I've got a list of here of the books that you wrote. First, you did Soul Writing. Is that your first book?
That's the first book. That was actually my thesis for my master's degree with Atlantic University. And I wrote the book Soul Writing, Accessing Your Higher Self, and that was
August
my
of
mentor.
2011.
My mentor at Atlantic University, when I was working on it as a thesis, he said, you really should turn this into a book. And so I did, and that's based on Edgar Casey's readings on inspirational writing. So soul writing is a written form of meditation. So you know how you talk about prayer as you talking to God and meditation as God talking to you? Yes. This is you taking notes. So
I was going to ask you, what is that exactly?
Yeah, it is not automatic writing. Yeah, people throw the word automatic writing around a lot, and part of my mission is to educate people that automatic writing is not a good thing to be pursuing. Matter of fact, I think ARE has that listed as the number 2 no in pursuing your spiritual development, your psychic development.
Besides the Ouija board, probably, yeah.
The Ouija board's number 1. You're right. That's right.
Yeah,
it's number
I would
1.
expect that.
And so because people have gotten into trouble with automatic writing, and there's been some recorded issues of possession, and so we stay away from that. This is at a whole other level, this writing. And so I wrote the book, like I said, based on my thesis, and then I wrote a second book after that, which was the follow-up, which was Your Soul Remembers, Accessing Your Past Lives Through Soul Writing. I wanted to show people how they could get past life information through soul writing. And soul writing is something that anybody can learn to do. Most people get something on the first try. And as a matter of fact, what I have done now is I offer it to people in regressions so that when the regression is over, I'll ask them, you have an option now of doing the soul writing, because oftentimes the soul writing will give them the backstory of what they just experienced in the regression, or it'll answer questions, or it'll offer guidance. So it's you talking to your creator, your source, your angel, whatever you want to believe, your spirit guide. Yeah, and you just, you just say a prayer of protection, surround yourself with white light, which I always do when I work with spirit, and then you just do some deep breathing as if you were going into a meditative state, and then you put the pen down on the paper, and then off you go. So, and it's very profound. I'm only now touching the surface of what it can do for people. So that's one area that I teach and write about. And then, of course, the past life work, which is something I've been passionate about for many, many years, 30-something years I've been doing it. But I found a way to combine the two, which was exciting for me.
So when I start off, I meditate every day, sometimes not in the morning. It just depends. I just get this feeling that I must sit and be still. And like you said, surround yourself with white light, say a little prayer, and then just sit and be still. And you can ask questions, and then you're quiet, and then you see what kind of information you get, and you write it down.
Right.
Is that how it works?
Right. Yeah, it just comes through you. It's like the source of, inspiration. And I talk about many famous authors have tried to explain what that process is like, of plugging in to a higher consciousness, plugging into the divine, and allowing the message to come through you, through your soul, out your hand, and onto the paper. And many people, after they read what they wrote, they're astonished. They said, I couldn't have possibly written that. And it brings people to tears, but it's a tool that we were given when we came to the earth, but most people don't know they have that tool, so they don't use it. So, if you're experiencing issues and problems and you've exhausted everybody, you've gone to therapists, you've talked to your family and friends, and you still feel like you don't have an answer, you can get an answer through soul writing, because it would answer any question you put out there. That's how Edgar Casey worked. He never just started to speak off the top of his head about something. He waited for a question. And then when he got the question, then he went to his source and he got the answer and brought it back. And that's what this writing teaches you to do.
I'm going to have to try this. I'm really, really good at, all of a sudden, you're in this state where you hear everything, you're there, but you're really not there. You can't believe how still you can get if you just relax and let it happen. And see, what I do is I just talk to God every day. I mean, I have people laughing because sometimes it's like a little dissertation.
When he talks, when he answers you, just write it down. That's a good way of starting the soul writing conversation with God.
Yeah, because I'm such a follower and such a believer, and so I'm very spiritual. And I think even as a little girl, taking catechism, all of that stuff, communion and all that, I started to realize then, after I made my communion, what was going on. I don't know. And then, I still went to church, but of course I didn't have to go to catechism every day. I didn't have to. There wasn't such a ritual. But then I kept questioning things. I didn't say anything to my mother, but I certainly asked myself, what? Why do you have to do this? Why?
Yeah.
I'm just going to carry a conversation when I get home, like in the summertime. Because in the summertime, maybe we would go to church on Sunday, but not always. And I was talking every day. I don't even know what answers I was getting. I never sat down to be still and quiet. Who knows, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
But now, your regressions and stuff. I want to talk to you about your soul. You have a soul contract, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I'm going to ask just simple things. Do you have only one soul contract?
Per life.
Yes. Okay.
You know,
so that's the one you carry with you.
You decide. Yeah, you decide prior to coming into this life, while you're in spirit. So this is before you're conceived. So where are you? You know, souls live forever. They don't. They're eternal. So where is your soul before it comes into this life? Where was it before you became Natalie or I became Joanne?
Right.
Well, you do some. You do some work on the other side. And that's what's outlined in my new book. I did it to myself again.
I have that, yes.
Because I took people from their past, most significant past life they had, and then I brought them back into their current life, and then I backed them up into their between life state. And that's where you work with your guides and your council of elders to decide. You know, you look at the lifetime that you finished, and you decided, okay, I want to work on those issues from that life. That's unfinished business. I didn't finish it. I'm going to work on it in this life, in the next life. And so based on that, you decide on a curriculum. If you think of Earth as a school, and the council of elders are like your guidance counselors, and they sit with you and they look at your report card over all of your lifetimes, and they'll say, well, you didn't pass this class or this one, but you did pass these others. And you go, okay, I think I'm going to work on the issue of acceptance and approval in the next life. And so you design your entire life around those issues. So you choose your parents, ones that'll give you the best opportunity to be able to address those issues. Members of your soul family will step forward and go, I'll come in with you and I'll work with you on that. So it's actually very intricate and it's very beautiful the way it all ties together. So you could see that you're the one who designed the life you have now. You can't blame other people. You can't blame your mother or father. You can't blame your sister or brother or your husband or whatever. You designed it this way. And you designed it this way for a reason because it's the lesson that you signed up for. It's your curriculum in this life. So, so you need. That's what the contract is about. The contract is about finishing this level of schooling and working through these issues. And once you work through them, you don't have to deal with them anymore. So that's what it's all about. So that I wanted people to be able to see that for themselves. So that's why I designed this particular research project. And I also wanted the research project to help people with the whole fear of death, because that is one of the areas that we did get into with my volunteers. I asked them what it felt like to die. I asked them what it felt like, what did the afterlife actually look like? What was their journey from the physical body to the spiritual body? So, and the reason I did that was because I really wanted to, so many people are terrified of dying. Right. And I thought, if you hear what a bunch of strangers who came to be a part of my project, they didn't know each other, and they never did meet, so they didn't compare notes, but yet they were all saying basically the same thing. And so if they say the same thing, then it stands to reason, doesn't it, that your experience of death may be very similar to theirs. And if theirs was a pleasant occurrence, there was no pain involved, then what are you afraid of? You know, so
that's a good question. You know, like for me, I can tell you that as I get older, I realize that it's closer, of course, and you just never know. But the thing that bothers me the most would be leaving my son.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we are, and you know what I think too, Joanne, is that I worry how he's going to be without me. I mean, I know how it was with his dad when he passed away, and that was his best friend. And well, I'm a lot closer he's closer to me than he was because I'm alone now, and I lean upon him, not all the time. I have some friends that I do things with, and all. Of course now I'm not doing anything, but I was doing all of that. But there is a part of me that it bothers me. And I don't know. I guess I have to do my soul writing and find out. But I almost died in 1982, and I had you're going to understand this probably better than I've ever told anybody. I contracted a virus that took over my whole body. Nothing like what's going on today. I couldn't even stand. I just existed for I don't know how many days. And they did all the workup on me and all that, and it really affected my liver, of course. And but during that time, I woke up, and I know some people have heard this story before, but I feel I should tell you. I woke up, and my whole room was a golden yellow. It was all lit up. Okay, the lights weren't on because I kept blinking my eyes and thinking, wow, this is some dream you're having here, you know. But it wasn't a dream. It was real. And I kept looking to see where this light, this glow was coming. It was like a yellowish gold, not a pure gold. So what I did is I turned around, and on my back wall was about a 7-foot crystal, raw crystal, not perfectly shaped. That's where the glow was coming from.
Oh, wow.
Now, I knew it was massive healing. I knew that. But I always question it because I think to myself, you know, I have to see things. Probably that's why it appeared, because whatever or whoever it was, I've had some people kind of give me an idea who it was. I had to see it. She's not, we have to show her. But it put me on the path of getting into a big, huge organization. I handled all the money. They were all psychics. They were astrologers. They were a variety, all kinds. People from Unity Church, all kinds of people in this organization. And I took the membership money because I was the one who was honest, I suppose. I don't know. And I got up that morning, that next day, and I drew it. And it was August 14th. I'll never forget it. I've never seen it again. But every once in a while it comes to my mind how it looked and how beautiful it was. And I don't know what it was, if it was God, if it was an archangel. I knew it was something important, somebody important, because it was mammoth. And right then, you know, I started to get a little bit better. There wasn't anything they could do for me. I had gamma globulin shots and vitamin B12 plus another something in it the doctors never told me. I had to they had to keep me healthy as they could, but I also had to stay home, almost like what people are doing now. Because I would be exposed to too many things that would probably cause me to get pneumonia and die. So I knew after I saw that and I started thinking about it, yeah, you got some important work to do. You were not supposed to leave. That's how I've always felt about it, that there was something in my future, you know, down the road somewhere that I had to either help somehow or I don't know. I mean, right now I have 3 websites, but that's not even it. You know, I find myself, I love giving to an extreme sometimes. I mean, I'll do without so that somebody else has whatever, you know, and as a little girl, I didn't have that much, but my granddaughter is very lucky to have me as her gram, she calls me, or Grambo. She calls me Grambo because my son says to me, why do you spoil her? I said, because I'm going to make sure she has everything I did not have, and I was an only child, and I was not treated well, like you would think. That's a different story. So I have come into this life, obviously, to do. I don't think my work is done, Joanne. I don't really know. I don't sit and think about it, but you can bet I'm going to do my soul writing and see if I can get some answers.
Yeah, I got that sort of a message on Sunday when, because the Unity Church that I go to is not open now. They're just doing services online, so I always click in, and then while they do the meditation, I'll do the soul writing. And I did check in with them, you know, that what is it that I'm supposed to be doing? How much time do I have? I'm always worried about that because I have so many books that I want to write. I tell my friends they're circling around me like planes at O'Hare Airport waiting to come in for a landing, you know.
Yeah.
But
no,
write
me. Write this one. Write this one.
Yeah. No, me.
Yeah.
I have another book coming out in January.
Yes, I saw that.
And I've got, so the question for me then is, okay, which of the other books are you going to start on? And so I'm working on one right now, but then I find, I think I'll jump to this one or I'll jump to that one. And I say to myself, you can't do that because nothing's going to get done. But I wanted some assurance from Spirit that I would have the time that I needed to get, this work done. I know that if I don't, I can pick it up where I left off in the next life. But honestly, the idea of coming back and going through childhood again and all of that goes with that.
I'm there with you.
Is like, I don't want to do that again.
No, it
or
was,
adolescence.
Everybody has a childhood, and some of it's painful, some of it's, you're sad a lot of the times, and I was quite the loner. I had friends, but I had two girlfriends, but one would walk right by my house and go get the other one, and they'd never come and get me, and I remember the co-host that I had, she said to me, what did you do? I said, well, I just saw her walking by, and I thought I turned around, and I either watched television, went outside, because I had friends down in the neighborhood, other friends, or I read, or I had my music on. So she said, well, you were just alone. I was alone a lot. But isn't it funny? I don't know. Maybe, like for now, it's great for me to work at home. I have no problem with it. Because that's what I've done. I had 3 jobs at one time working, going out, all different kinds of, experiences out with people, collecting money. That's what I'm good at. And so I don't know, but I don't still know. I might not even know what that I call it a visitation. Might not ever know what that meant. I don't know. I think it was to save my life, for one thing, to heal me, of course, because it was massive. And, the group that I was in, I asked them right away, and they all said, oh, that was just to heal you. No, it wasn't just to heal me. I didn't have to be awake. I had to see it. I always knew that. And, I would argue with them. To know it's something else. It was that also because I was pretty sick. So I don't know.
I think one of the questions that I ask in the Life Between Life session is, people. The number one reason people come for a regression usually is because they want to know why they're here. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why I'm here now, especially. What's my soul's purpose? I don't know what it is. How am I supposed to know what it is? So we work on that. I use the technique that Edgar Casey taught on defining your spiritual ideal. So your ideal is something above you, above and beyond you, to which you aspire. So, and then once you make the statement what your soul's purpose is, that becomes like your spiritual GPS. And it continues to guide you. So you measure everything against that ideal. So for me, it's to inspire and empower through the written word. If I go off on a tangent and I start doing something other than that, I'll get myself into trouble. I go on these I have these detours that I take in life all the time, and they always end up leading me right back to where I'm supposed to be. And I don't know why I do the detours, but I realize that if I had asked myself, when an opportunity comes forward that distracts you from that purpose, if you say to yourself, okay, this is my purpose. So for me, to inspire and empower through the written word, I would say, does this new project enable me to do that? And if the answer is no, I don't do it. And I've only learned that recently. Isn't that incredible that it would take me to – I always say I'm an old soul because old souls are slow learners because we just keep coming back over and over again.
Well, I guess I am. I wasn't really good in school, but as I got older, I was trained as a in-house bookkeeper from a CPA, and, I sent him my work last year because I wanted to see what he was going to think, and he said, my God, did I teach you all that? Because I sent it on a flash drive, No, I mailed it to him. That's what I did. And, I've been doing my own bookkeeping for my business since it started, but I learned from him. And I guess, but I can do a lot of different things. So So I can't say I'm down one path. But sometimes, and believe it or not, sometimes I do so much that I sit down and I say, okay, Natalie, you're exhausted. You're doing this for your granddaughter. You're doing this for your son. Not so much my daughter-in-law. I don't have to do that much for her. And you're helping other people, and you're listening. You're listening to everybody. But then I pick myself back up again, and it's all good. So I don't know.
I get a lot of aha moments in the work that I do when people suddenly they're able to connect the dots, and they'll go, oh, no wonder this is happening, or no wonder I've fallen into this pattern of behavior or parallel, to the other lifetime. So I feel very honored and blessed to be a part of their journey. And the beautiful part about regression work is that you usually only need one session. It's not like psychotherapy where you have to go over and over again, week after week after week.
I've never been regressed.
Yeah? Never. Well, you should try it sometime, Natalie.
I should try it with you because I like your voice. Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think that there's a lot of answers there in the past and in the past life, and then of course in the life between life, especially when I tell people, well, you picked your parents. See, that's what I tell my children. I say, you picked me. What are you complaining about?
Right.
And when my grandchildren were born, I've got a 4-year-old grandson and a 20-month granddaughter. Very blessed to have both of them in my life. When they were born, I wanted to say something profound to them, not just, oh, hi, welcome to the world, I'm your grandmother. I wanted to say something because I knew they just come from God. They just came from Source. And so I said to them, for as long as I'm here, as long as I'm allowed to remain here with you, I will be here. I will support you. I will encourage you. I will guide you. I will answer all of your questions, because that was important to me, that they knew that there was somebody there that would understand them. Like my grandson now has opened up and told me about what some other parents would call an imaginary friend. I don't believe in imaginary friends.
Right.
I do believe that they're visited. He's only 4. I do believe that they are visited by spirits, guardian angels or spirit guides or whatever you want to call them. And he tells me that he has one, and his name is Bogo, and he lives out in the tree by the lake, and and we talk about it as if, that's everyday stuff. That's cool.
My granddaughter is the same way. She will come over and say, Graham, come here, I want to tell you something. And she'll tell me what she's seen. She won't do it in front of her parents, but she knows how I am. She knows.
Yeah.
And it's just such an honor when she tells me that stuff, because I think sometimes my daughter-in-law is a little resentful. What is she whispering to? Well, she's not usually here when my granddaughter is talking to me like that. But my granddaughter's 16. She just turned 16, and she's just very open to everything, and I'm so glad. And I really have not sat down with her to tell her. She just has a sense of how I feel, what I'm about. She just knows that. And it makes me feel really good. I love to be around her. She likes me to read. She likes me to read to her.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I read books very well to somebody else, and that's what she likes. And and so isn't it something how I picked my parents. Now my dad. Oh, I'm thinking of my mother. Why in the world did I pick her? My dad was like this gentle soul. I mean, I was Daddy's girl. He was real quiet, but not my mother. My mother was full Italian. She didn't want me to marry anybody unless they were Italian, which was a big mistake. But she was very bossy. I don't know if your family was like that.
Yeah, they were, but I didn't exactly follow their lead
I was an only child, and she was the oldest of 10. So she was out to strike on her own. She wanted to do things for herself, and I happened to happen, and she wasn't pleased about it. But I fend for myself. I was good being alone. It didn't bother me. So it actually worked out. But now that you say, why in the world would I pick her? Except, she had these qualities, leadership qualities, and of course I've got some of them. She has the ability to I called her the godmother of the insurance world because that's what she was. If she did something for you, if she makes the call to you, you're going to do for her. And that's what we would laugh about it, but she was serious. She was tough. I can be a real softie, though. I cry easily. I don't cry. I just sob. So I guess I got something. I know I got some things from her, obviously, just like you did from yours. And I got it from my dad. I got that sensitivity, I think, because he was.
Our parents feel a karmic agreement, and that's either that they're going to challenge us or they're going to help us. But the rest is on us because of free will. So when we pick our parents, we're looking at what opportunities for growth are they going to provide me, and what lessons will I learn from them that would not have been possible had I had other parents. And sometimes you've got a karmic relationship with them. You were with them in a prior lifetime. Or sometimes they come in as a package deal. So you would recognize your mother from a previous life, but not your father, or vice versa. Okay. So then you have to ask yourself, am I coming in to teach? Am I teaching them something, or are they teaching me something? So, Edgar Casey said every soul had its own purpose other than what parents might try to impose on it. So, I think I think it was Dr. Brian Weiss, who's well known in this field. He said that we choose to live out the patterns that are going to afford us the most growth with the souls that, will most effectively manifest these situations in our lives. So, going in when you pick your parents, well, okay, by having them as my parent, I'm going to have this socioeconomic background. I'm going to be this race. I'm going to live in this country or this city. I'm going to have this extended family. Probably going to go to these schools or whatever. So it's like I said earlier, it's just beautifully entwined in how the decisions that we make are going to help us achieve the goal, the lesson, finish this lesson, and go in this curriculum that we brought in with us, so that we're free to graduate.
Do we have a choice whether we come back or not, Joanne?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
But a lot of people on this side of the veil will say, I'm not coming back again. And I'll say, well, did you finish learning everything? And they'll say, well, no. And I'll say,
well, you're coming back, right?
I'm coming back, that's for sure. I got a lot of classes I have to take, so, you may take longer between lifetimes. That's why I was referring to old souls. All souls were created at the same time. There's no such thing as an old soul. We were all created at the same time. The reason people use that phrase old soul is because there are some souls that give off an energy of being a lot more wise and than others. So they seem like this older seer, who's been around a while. Well, that's because they've come back. They've come back very often, whereas another soul who only comes back occasionally, doesn't give off that vibe and gives the impression that they're a very young soul. But that's not really the case. It's just that we decide how often we're going to come back. It's usually between 50 and 200 years between lives. When I did my session with people for my research project and I took them to the life that was most impacting them now, some of them went back 2,000 years. So it's not necessarily chronological either or consecutive. So you might be working on issues that happened 1,000 years ago, and you only decided that now was the time that was ideal for you to work on that particular issue. So it's like I said, it makes perfect sense all the way around, and I, that's why I could speak about it. So it's just part of my everyday life and beliefs, and having these research projects that I've done for all of my books. Actually, I've done research projects around because I wanted other people to tell their story. I wanted the reader to be able to listen to what somebody else said, not what Joanne said.
And really relate to it, because it's another person. It's not just the author writing it. It's
right. I don't want to be pontificating, or saying, now believe this, people, because I've been doing this a long time, and you should listen to me.
Yeah, right.
No, I don't believe in that. Yeah, so I think that's part of the validity of the work that I'm doing, keeping it on that level of professionalism and allowing other people to tell you their story. And that's why, I cite in my book what the background is of the people who are in my study, because I want you to know that, I've had social workers, I've had educators, I had nurses, lawyers, I've had a flight attendant and occupational therapists and historians. I mean, it's just an incredible group of people that are very respected in their career choices. And they're not the kind of people that you look at and point a finger and say, oh, he's inclined to make up this crazy story, and I'm not going to believe anything he has to say. No, these are very credible people. The average age in my last study for this, I did it to myself, the Life Between Life book, was 62. So, and most of them were women, by the way. Men, I usually get more men in a study than I did for this one, but women really aren't afraid to delve into this story, especially, the part about picking out your body, because that's one of the areas that we cover. Why did you pick the body that you're in right now? It's not random,
Exactly.
You picked that
Everything
body.
was planned. Everything was planned, right?
Right. And did you pick a body? A lot of the women said they wanted to be female again because they wanted to experience childbirth. And that made perfect sense. We stay in the same kind of body, like we're either female or male about 75% of the time. So if you're predominantly female, most of the time you're going to come back. 75% of the time you'll come back as a female again.
I see.
The men did not like being female. I got tremendous resistance when they were doing the regression, and they found out that they had been female in another life. They did not like that because why? They couldn't. They experienced what it felt like to be powerless and to not be so strong, physically strong. Whereas the women didn't have a problem being a man whatsoever. They kind of enjoyed that sense of power and strength that they had. So, but why did you pick your body? What is your body doing for you? What's the advantage or disadvantage of having this body?
I love all these questions. I love all these because it kind of resolves some things that I've been going through my mind because, I was really sick a couple of weeks ago for 2 weeks. And, I thought I was going to die. What was happening to me. But anyways, my age, and I see younger people, and they're dying, and sometimes I'll talk to God, okay, I'm still here, and I'm very, very healthy, although I almost died in 1982, so I probably would be you would probably want to regress me. Let's find out what's going on.
I think it'd be very interesting, Natalie. Very interesting
because,
indeed.
And Jesus came to me in a dream. I've had him approach me. He didn't talk to me. He mentally talked to me, and he looked like this raggedy old man, and I thought it was a joke. And then he motioned to look down past my car, and here comes all the apostles. Then I looked back at him, and he said to me, "Now do you believe me?"
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was taking care of my husband, I had locked myself in the bathroom because he was violent. He had something going, he had Alzheimer's. But anyways, I was on the floor and I was just sobbing. I just kept thinking, how long do I have to do this all by myself? I was by myself. Mm-hmm. And I looked down and I saw a robe and feet. As soon as I saw that, Joanne, I stood up and I was good to go.
Yeah.
I got the courage.
Go
ahead.
No, I was going to say, Natalie, that when I ask people that were in my research study who was on their council of elders, who was guiding them, who were their counselors in helping them work on their next life, I very often heard people say Jesus was on their council, that Jesus, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Moses, and some angels. This is very different from the research study that Dr. Michael Newton did. Now, he's well known, like he is the person who's the expert on life between lives. And when I was reading his books, there was a lot in there that I didn't resonate to, and it didn't follow what Mr. Casey had said. And so one of the things was that nobody in any of his studies saw Jesus or a biblical character on their council of elders, and yet almost all of mine did. And I'm wondering why is this so different? Why are my people?
Maybe he was on mine too. Yeah.
And if anybody saw Jesus during the regression, not during the session, during the life between life session, in which I'm having them name, if they say they have 5 members of their council, I'll say, okay, let's go from left to right and describe them to me. If they said it was Jesus, I've had people stop and just start to sob with gratitude. With gratitude that Jesus, is on their council of elders. So it's not unusual to have that sort of an experience in the afterlife. And Lord only knows what you said you were totally changed after that. I can imagine if you good to go. Yeah, if you know that you were getting advice from Jesus and Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene, and they had a vested interest in you, you would tend to sit up and pay attention to what they have to say in terms of what you can do to help your soul move forward and grow. So it's just very gratifying experience for me as the guide through this whole thing, and I'm just very pleased that I was able to get all that research done and put it in this book on on life between lives. So I hope your listeners will have an opportunity to read the book. I think that it will be a life changer for them.
Just you've noticed we've done nonstop talking because I had all your content. I knew all about you and everything, and I don't ever look at it until it's the night of the show. I do it just before because it's in my head. Because I have a certain kind of memory that I can remember what I read and I can see it. So I think that I probably will do it. I don't know what would I do for. What would you do for me? A past life regression, or with soul
writing?
Well,
you'd have to decide you'd have to decide. I do 3 different sessions with people.
I know I'm on your site. I want.
Yeah. I do the traditional regression, taking you to the life that's most impacting you now. Then I do an optional session where it's the regression plus the soul writing. So that tacks on usually another 20 minutes to a half hour. So that's about a 2-hour session. And then I do the past life regression, traditional past life regression, and the life between life session. So, and that's about a 3-hour session. So they all offer you something else. So depending on what it is that you want to get out of the session, what you're looking for, all 3 of them will give you something. But if it's something specific, one might be more appropriate than the other. But I don't make that decision. I let people decide that on their own.
I don't know. I really.
We'll just sit with it for a while and see if
I'll do some soul writing tomorrow.
Just do some soul writing and ask.
What am I supposed to do here? I love talking, and so that's why I talk to God all the time. And I was saved a couple of times. Another time in a car, my son was driving. I'm telling you this because you're gonna understand. And we were, my husband was still alive at the time, and I was in the back, and somebody ran a light, and of course my son was driving, and the guy missed us, but we had all of his glass come on our front window, but he didn't hit us. Well, my son got out, and he said, "Are you okay?" And the man, of course, I think he broke his arm or something, but my son said to me, "Mom, come here." And he said, Mom, I didn't turn that wheel like that. The wheel turned more than it should have. It took us out of the path of the car.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, I saw a flash of red. That's all I saw. That was a man's car. You know, I mean, it happens so fast, but he never hit us. Not one little dent. But, however, what happened to him, I don't even know what he hit. He went through a red light. The glass from his car came onto ours. I mean, my son's heart was beating fast, and so was mine. And he said, "So what do you think, Mom?" And I said, "Well, if you said it wasn't you, what do you think?" He said, "Oh, we had help. I did not. You can only turn a wheel so far to get out.
Sure.
You know, this turned more than the normal wheel. It pulled us out of that way of that car. That's been a few times with me now, so I feel very blessed. I really do, and I don't think about it that often, unless I'm talking to somebody like you, and I feel it's something that it would be informative for you. Because maybe you'll be thinking, well, what's going on there with her? I have no idea, you know. Yeah, but anyways, it's I'll have to decide, but I will do something with you. I think, and I mentioned your site again here. Where did the time go? It's your site again is Joanne JoanneDiMaggio.com, and you just go to all her services, her regression services. She's got this. She's got these tabs, and she discusses soul writing. Her books are there. I believe your latest book, this one I did it to myself again, is in my Akashic bookstore if they want to buy it. That they just click the link and they actually go to your Amazon place for your book, and I make about 5 cents or whatever, something ridiculous. Yeah. But I like to do that. I see how I go over and above board. Everybody's always saying, "Why do you do all of this?" I don't know. I get a good feeling when I do things like that, Joanne, and I don't ask for anything. Just, you know, and thank you for having me on your site. I saw you at Mystic Living Today there, and our interview today, I saw that. Thank you so much. So nice of you to do that under your media.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, I'm grateful that Sarah connected us again, and you know, I hope maybe when the new book comes out in January,
you know it.
I was going to say do it again.
We will do it again. Now, what's the name of the new book?
Edgar Casey and the Unfulfilled Destiny of Thomas Jefferson Reborn.
Oh, wow.
I know, it takes a while to sink in. Yeah.
That's a mouthful, right?
It is a mouthful, yeah. And this is all about a little baby boy who came to the Casey household when he was only 2 days old. He was the nephew of Casey's secretary, Gladys, and Casey did a life reading on him and said he was the reincarnation of both Alexander the Great and Thomas Jefferson. But he also said that this soul could do more for the world than Jefferson did for this country. So for the first 8.5 years of TJ's life, he was nurtured and mentored by Edgar Casey to do this great work that was ahead of him. And he was really on track to do that, and then Casey died when TJ was 8.5 years old, and he never got that second reading, and he was kind of thrown from pillar to post. So I wanted to explore what his life was like. Why is a soul with so much promise?
How old is he right now?
He's 84.
Oh.
And he lives here in Charlottesville, so he's
What's
my
his name?
buddy. Is TJ Davis.
Okay.
And,
awesome.
And so that book was 8 years in the making. I spent 8 years going back and forth to the Edgar Casey Foundation's archives and searched through all of the readings and the private letters and stuff. I wanted to paint a fair picture of what TJ's life was like, and just to show people that, you know, you could be somebody famous in a previous life doesn't mean piddly squat in the next life.
Exactly.
You know, you're not constantly going up in terms of your notoriety. You know, even Edgar Casey at one point was Rata in Egypt, a priest in Egypt, and then he had a lifetime where he was a riverboat gambler. So we're kind of like all over. We're all over the place.
Yeah.
So if you want to understand reincarnation, you have to understand that part of it. So that's the next book, and I hope we could chat about it when it's out.
We will. No, it's a given.
Okay, great.
I have it written down already. Yes, we will, absolutely. And I was honored to have you on the show. My goodness, you've been on so many shows, and I thought to myself, wow, she agreed to do this, and it's just quite the honor talking to you and learning about souls. I mean, everybody likes to hear about that. I think they all want to know. What was I before? And a lot of your talents, like say, I have some abilities. I can hear. I'm clairaudient. But sometimes you bring things from another lifetime, or maybe a lifetime even before that. Correct? That you bring with
absolutely.
you. Yeah. And maybe you hone in on them. You add them to your toolbox. Whatever you can do. Those kinds of things. Somebody I interviewed a few weeks ago, he said, I am a facilitator. That's what he gets from me. I'm a facilitator. And I said, well, that's a big word. He said, you facilitate. Look what you do for all the authors, all of them. I had an opera star on. I had another star on that does music. He said, think about it. Quite a few of them. But each and every one was a wonderful experience for me, and I hope for all the listeners. And we will see you again in January. I have noted it now, so
Thank you,
it'll be out. It'll be published at that time. Is that what it is?
Yes, it should be. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. You take care of yourself, and thank you again for coming on my show.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Oh gosh, and I'm going to contact you about something with I don't know which one I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of meditate on it a little bit, but I'll let you know. I'll get in touch with you.
All right.
And I'm going to end my show like I always do, and I want to thank everybody for listening in. Next week, I think it's going to be a 1 o'clock show because I have somebody coming from Germany. I have somebody from Spain. I have a Maharani coming from in Spain. Can you imagine? I'm just a global trotter here, just going everywhere. But so I'll see everybody next week, and as I always do, I always say this, and Joanne, you're going to like this: believe in things you cannot see because they really are there. And with that, I'll say good night. Thank you, everybody.
Good night, Natalie.
Good night. Okay, so I guess I want to tell everybody, go to StarZWithAZ.com. Candy, thank you for all your fine work. She's in the chat room and all that kind of good stuff. It's been wonderful tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed this. And like I said, we'll see you next week. Good night.
If everyone could be who they were really meant to be,